Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I want to talk about Jayden Daniels and why I believe the Washington Commanders need to sit him out for the rest of the season. And hear me out before you guys hate in the comment section down below. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well so you never miss a video. So I've had this take for a little bit now. I don't think Jayden Daniels should have played in the game against the Minnesota Vikings, and clearly he wasn't fully healthy. I mean, he's playing a brace, even if it's a thin brace. You're coming back from an injury like that in a lost season. I just didn't think it made a lot of sense. He kind of re-injured it, re-aggravated it, and is out for this game against the New York Giants at least, which means there's going to be 3 games left for the season, and you're playing against the Cowboys and Eagles those 3 games. My guess is he's out for the rest of the year. It's just, for me, the biggest reason, I guess, I was going to say something else, but the biggest reason is he's your franchise quarterback. There's 3 games left. You're, trying to get, even though they're not going to say it, you want a good draft pick. And not saying that Jayden's going to win them these last 4 games, but he's going to give you a better chance than maybe Mariota will. And you also want to protect your franchise quarterback, and him being out there, and even the risk of a major injury, knock on wood that doesn't happen, but a major injury, there's no reward besides maybe getting some good final games in a row. But besides that, it's not, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But the biggest reason why I don't think he should be playing is, let's just look at this man. He starts off the season, obviously plays, next week gets hurt, doesn't play the Raiders or the Falcons game, comes back for the Chargers game, and plays there, plays in the Bears game, gets hurt in the Cowboys game, then doesn't play the Chiefs game, comes back, gets hurt against the Seattle Seahawks, doesn't play the next 3 games, comes back, is hurt, and isn't going to play the Giants game. There is a lot of in and out of the lineup. I mean, there's, the first 3 games, first time he got hurt, misses that game, or plays that game, but got hurt in that game, misses the next 2 games, comes back for 2 games. That already, you're, in and out of the lineup, and then you leave again, and then you come back again, and then you leave again. It's just way too much back and forth. For the offense in general, you're not going to be able to perform when your starting quarterback never played more than 2 games in a row this year. Never played more than 2 full games in a row. And for me, that's a big issue, and that's going to make your offense not be very good at all. And that's been part of the issue. And then you combine that with receivers being out left and right with Terry, Noah Brown, Debo is out for a game or something. Or did he even miss a game? I'm not completely sure, but I know he was really hurt for that Bears game. And then you had Luke McCaffrey out, and it doesn't help you out when your quarterback and your receivers are in and out of the lineup the whole time, and it makes the offense not gel, and also it makes Jayden look worse than he is because he's so rusty and he's coming back and in and out of the lineup that he's not the same player because he hasn't been able to really take that rust off. And I also think that all these injuries, not even all, just getting injured in general and coming back makes you more susceptible to an injury. You playing with a knee injury, playing a little bit different, maybe a little bit more cautious, maybe, compensating a little bit more with, one limb than the other. And, you deal with an injury, you get a, hamstring injury, and then you're coming back from that after 1 game missed, and maybe you're playing a little bit. I'm not saying necessarily these injuries had a, factor into the next, but it certainly doesn't help. It certainly doesn't help playing, even if you're, pretty much fully healthy, you're football healthy, you're still dealing with that injury, and it can, the mental effects and just some of the physical effects that you don't even know about, and some of them that you do, like the pain, impacts how you play. And I think that maybe that had something to do with some of these injuries, and I just think bringing him back for the last 3 games this season makes 0 sense in my opinion, and just sit him out rest of the way, let him play with or let him be out and let Mariota play with the offense. Like honestly, the offense looked pretty good in that Broncos game, and that was like the first stretch the whole season where it was the third game in a row where a quarterback started. So I don't think that's a coincidence either, because that's against a good defense. And then guess what? Next week, you have Terry back. I mean, he was back the week before, but you get Noah Brown back, you get Jayden back, and guess what? They put up 0 points, and it was against a good defense, but guess what? The Broncos defense is better. I think it definitely matters having, all these quarterbacks these two quarterbacks in and out of the lineup so much. I guess Josh Johnson did end up playing a couple snaps, but those two main guys in and out, it really does impact the quality of offense and what they can really run, because you're used to a certain guy doing it a certain way, and then now you got to switch, and now you got to switch back and back and back. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. But real quick, a word from today's sponsor. And a huge shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you guys go ahead and check them out. There's a Thursday night football game on tonight. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you can win real money making picks on that game. There's NBA, there's NHL, there's going to be college football a little bit this weekend, but especially next weekend. So there's a lot of good stuff happening. Make sure you guys check out Sleeper. Use promo code Pedro on Sleeper and get a 100% match up to $100. Link is in the description. Terms and conditions apply. All right, again, a huge shout out to Sleeper there. So like I said, the inconsistency on offense really matters, and that's on Jayden being out. Not blaming him, I'm just saying Jayden being out obviously impacts that. Terry, being in and out of the lineup injury-wise definitely does as well. And during training camp, Cliff Kingsbury was asked about Jayden's play, said he never felt like the offense was, found consistency in practices with everyone available dating back to training camp, made it a challenge. Some people are saying that's a shot at Terry. Who knows? But obviously, that did impact things on offense. And then Terry's injury, Jayden's injury, all that definitely played a factor into everything. So this season's been a disaster, but the blessing in disguise is they're going to get a good draft pick, and maybe it's a message, we really got to improve this roster, and so they're going to have to make major changes. Next year's a big year for Jayden. This year he had a little bit of a sophomore slump in terms of the play, wasn't amazing, but here's the thing. I'm not really going to look too much into it, because let's look at the list again. How many games in a row did he play? How can you be good if you are, not only just in and out of the lineup, but you're coming back from injury each time? And it just, he hasn't played 3 full games this year. So, that's a discussion for another video. But in terms of his play, I'm not too concerned about that, especially with what he had to deal with, with the personnel-wise this year. Next year, obviously we're going to have to see how he plays. The bigger thing is, though, staying healthy. We're going to need a 17, game season from him next year. I don't think bulking up is really the issue. Sure, put on a few pounds, but the biggest issue is, dude, get out of bounds. Some of these play calls too, we don't need some of these runs, and he's got to go down a little bit earlier, and just get out of bounds. That's really the biggest thing, and avoid these big hits, and you're going to be fine. So that's the biggest thing with Jayden Daniels moving forward. But draft pick wise, we'll look right here. Just give you guys an update real quick. My last video was about that. Not posting too much, guys, because let's keep it real. I'm not going to talk about the games besides right after it, but Commanders have the 6th pick. Today's game doesn't really have much of an impact. I would say you're probably, if you're rooting for one team, rooting for the Falcons, just because the Falcons are slightly below us, and their strength of schedule, actually they have the tiebreaker over us. So if we end up winning a game, then it's okay, there's a chance for it to be tied, and they would go over us. They don't even have the pick, though. It's the Rams, which is crazy, how considering how good they are for them to be that high. But that's kind of it for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Hit that like button, do all that good stuff, and peace.